From the dusty plains of ancient Mesopotamia, where the first cities rose from the earth like monumental dreams, comes a story so old it has been all but forgotten. It is the story of the Anunnaki, a race of gods who are said to have descended from the heavens, bearing knowledge, power, and perhaps a secret that history has long tried to bury. They were the central figures in Sumerian mythology, powerful beings whose presence shaped the world in ways that we are only beginning to understand. The Anunnaki were not simply gods, they were rulers, teachers, and, in some strange way, guardians of an ancient knowledge that could rewrite everything we know about the dawn of civilization. The earliest mentions of the Anunnaki are found in the ancient texts of the Sumerians, the world's first known civilization. One such text is the Sumerian king list deity, a tablet listing the kings of Sumer who supposedly reigned for thousands of years, some under the guidance of these divine beings. The idea of these kings, ruling for centuries, is enough to unsettle any historian. Were these kings gods themselves, or were they something more? Perhaps they were merely representatives, messengers of the Anunnaki who imparted wisdom to humankind, guiding the development of agriculture, law, and culture. But there's something eerily strange about their influence, something that has been obscured by time, buried beneath layers of human history. And there's a nagging question that no one seems to answer: why were they erased from the story of humanity? Some of the most vivid accounts of the Anunnaki come from the Thodi epic of Gilgamesh, where these gods are described as living on a distant planet, Nibiru, and possessing powers that transcended human understanding. In the epic, the protagonist, Gilgamesh, is said to be part divine and part human, a reflection of the complex relationship the Anunnaki had with humanity. But did they truly descend from the stars, as the texts imply, or is this a poetic metaphor for their vast wisdom? For centuries, scholars have debated their true nature. Yet one thing remains clear: the Anunnaki were not just gods in the traditional sense. Their involvement in the development of early human society is undeniable, and their story has been hidden from us for millennia, perhaps intentionally. Some believe that the Anunnaki were more than mere deities. They were pseudo-extraterrestrial beings who arrived on Earth in ancient times, bringing with them advanced technology and knowledge far beyond what the Sumerians could have imagined. This theory, proposed by researchers like Zechariah Sitchin, suggests that the Anunnaki visited Earth to mine gold, a resource they needed to repair their planet's atmosphere. In return for their assistance, the Anunnaki supposedly created humans, genetically altering primitive hominids to create a more intelligent and capable species. This idea of genetic manipulation hints at something more than just myth. It suggests an ancient encounter between humans and beings from another world, an encounter that has been erased from the official narratives of history. The fascination with the Anunnaki has resurfaced in recent years, especially with the rise of conspiracy theories. See, there is an alternative history. The idea that the Anunnaki were not gods at all but extraterrestrial visitors has gained a considerable following, resonating with those who feel that mainstream history is incomplete or deliberately manipulated. Today, the story of the Anunnaki is not just relegated to ancient texts, but is part of a wider subcultural movement that challenges conventional thinking. From the pyramids of Egypt to the Mayan ruins in Central America, the symbols of these ancient gods have found their way into modern conspiracy lore, as though their influence stretches across time itself. The question arises: why were the Anunnaki erased from the historical narrative? Was it because they were more than gods, perhaps something too dangerous for mankind to understand? Or was their story suppressed because it revealed an uncomfortable truth, that humanity's true origins may lie in the stars? It is a question that has haunted historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists for years, and it's a question that will guide us through the maze of ancient texts and forgotten histories in search of an answer. The mystery of the Anunnaki is not just about gods or extraterrestrials. It is about seven hidden knowledge, about a truth buried beneath the sands of time. As we begin to explore the ancient records and the evidence scattered across the world, we'll uncover clues that point to a reality much more complex than we've ever been told. Could the truth about the Anunnaki be out there, waiting to be rediscovered? And what would that truth mean for our understanding of who we really are? This introduction has only scratched the surface, but it lays the foundation for what's to come. The ancient texts, the hidden messages, and the unanswered questions all lead us to the next chapter, where we will delve deeper into the Sumerian record sifter, seeking to uncover the true role of the Anunnaki in human history. There, we may discover not only who the Anunnaki were, but what they left behind for us to find. Let's journey into the heart of Sumerian mythology, and beyond that, into the uncharted territories of human origins. In the dimly lit corners of ancient Mesopotamia, there were secrets waiting to be unearthed, hidden beneath layers of dust and time. The Sumerians, whose civilization flourished more than 4,000 years ago, left behind a vast library of knowledge etched in cuneiform on clay tablets. Among these inscriptions are the first recorded mentions of the Anunnaki, those powerful deities whose role in human history has been clouded by mystery and confusion. As we carefully unroll the ancient scrolls and decipher the stone tablets, a fascinating and often unsettling narrative begins to unfold, one that suggests these gods were more than just symbols of divine power. They may have been real beings who played a tangible, hands-on role in the creation and shaping of humankind. The Thoidi epic of Gilgamesh stands as one of the oldest and most significant of these texts. Written in Akkadian, but based on much older Sumerian legends, the epic recounts the adventures of Gilgamesh, a king who seeks immortality, but instead uncovers the secret knowledge of the gods. The Anunnaki are central to this story, appearing as both powerful figures and distant, unapproachable beings. They are portrayed as possessing vast knowledge, wisdom, and authority over the world, much like the gods of other ancient cultures. Yet, there is an underlying suggestion that these gods might not have been native to the earth at all, but rather visitors from a distant realm, perhaps even from the stars. In one particular passage, the Anunnaki are described as ruling over the cosmos from their celestial domain, exercising control over humanity's fate. Their power is absolute, as they set the course for kings and commoners alike. But even more striking is the cryptic reference to the Anunnaki's involvement in the creation of mankind. It is said that they fashioned humans from clay, giving them the gift of consciousness. This act of creation, though divine in nature, seems to hint at something more. Was this simply a metaphor for divine inspiration, or were the Anunnaki, in fact, involved in a more physical, scientific creation? Could they have used their advanced knowledge to manipulate the genetics of early humans, crafting a new species that could think and build, just as we do today? Then there is the Guntiai Numa Elishtaiti, the Babylonian creation myth that tells of the rise of the gods and their dominion over the earth. In this epic, the Anunnaki are depicted as a group of deities who descend from the heavens to establish order in a chaotic world. The text describes the Anunnaki's role in the creation of the world and the formation of human beings, casting them as both creators and rulers. But it is the language used in the Enuma Elish that raises intriguing questions. The gods are not described as omnipotent beings who simply command creation. They are portrayed as scientists, engineers, and builders, using their skills and knowledge to shape the world around them. This portrayal has led many researchers to ask, could the Anunnaki have been extraterrestrials who used advanced technology to craft the world and humanity as we know it? The Sumerian king list ID provides yet another glimpse into the ancient world and the influence of the Anunnaki. This list, written in cuneiform, chronicles the names of Sumerian rulers who are said to have reigned for thousands of years, far longer than any mortal man could live. The rulers' long lives and their divine connection to the Anunnaki have led some to speculate that these kings were not entirely human, but were instead chosen or created by the gods themselves. Their extraordinary lifespans hint at a time when humans may have lived under the direct influence of the Anunnaki, perhaps even benefiting from their advanced knowledge, which allowed them to live much longer than we do today. But what do these ancient texts really say about the Anunnaki? When examined carefully, it becomes clear that the Sumerians did not view the Anunnaki as gods in the conventional sense. They were not simply powerful beings dwelling in the heavens, as gods are often portrayed in other cultures. Instead, the Anunnaki were described as active participants in the world's creation, offering wisdom, guidance, and even their very DNA to the early humans they encountered. Their role was not one of distant observation, but of direct intervention, shaping humanity's destiny in ways we are only beginning to understand. The Sumerians also believed that the Anunnaki held dominion over the forces of nature, controlling the elements, guiding the stars, and influencing the passage of time. The gods were seen as responsible for the cycles of the earth and the heavens, ensuring that the world remained in harmony. But the real mystery lies in the way the Anunnaki were described in these texts. They were not distant, abstract figures who merely watched over humanity. They were active, involved, and in some ways entirely unlike the gods of other ancient civilizations. The language used to describe them, how they came down from the heavens, how they mingled with humans, how they controlled the cosmos, suggests something far more grounded in reality. The Anunnaki, it seems, were beings whose influence reached beyond mythology and into the very fabric of human existence. As we delve deeper into these ancient accounts, we are forced to confront a question that has haunted scholars and historians for centuries. What if these gods were not gods at all, but visitors from another world? What if the Sumerians, in their limited understanding, simply described these beings in the only way they could, through the lens of the divine? This possibility opens up a Pandora's box of questions about the true nature of the Anunnaki, and what their involvement in the creation of humanity really means. The more we study the Sumerian texts, the more we realize how little we truly know about the Anunnaki and their role in human history. Their story, once thought to be nothing more than myth and legend, begins to take on a new dimension, one that suggests a hidden truth buried beneath the sands of time. As we continue our exploration, we will peel back the layers of history and mythology, seeking to uncover the real story of the Anunnaki and their impact on the world we know today. For in these ancient texts, we may find more than just the origins of gods. We may find the origins of humanity itself. As we move forward, the next chapter will take us further into the diffusion of the Anunnaki's influence, tracing their impact on the civilizations that came after them, and considering the possibility that their legacy is not confined to ancient Mesopotamia, but stretches across the globe. The secrets of the Anunnaki, it seems, are not confined to the past, but continue to ripple through history, waiting for the moment when they are finally revealed. As the great rivers of Mesopotamia carved their way through the ancient lands, their currents carried more than water. They carried the stories of gods and kings, myths and legacies, some of which have endured for millennia. Among these enduring stories, the Anunnaki, originally worshipped by the Sumerians, cast their shadow over the ancient world, extending their influence far beyond the borders of Sumer. It is here, in the rise of the Babylonian, Assyrian, and Akkadian empires, that the legacy of the Anunnaki truly began to take on a life of its own, evolving as it travelled through these diverse cultures, becoming both more complex and more mysterious with each passing generation. In Babylon, the Anunnaki were revered, not just as gods, but as symbols of divine authority and cosmic order. Babylonian religion was deeply intertwined with the idea of a structured, cosmic world where gods held dominion over both the heavens and the earth. The Anunnaki, now depicted in Babylonian myth, were not just distant rulers of the cosmos, but active players in the shaping of human history. Babylon's creation myths echoed the Sumerian accounts, but there were notable differences. While the Sumerians described the Anunnaki as god, like figures descending from the heavens, the Babylonians imbued these gods with even more power, presenting them as the architects of both civilization and law. Babylonian texts, like the 50 Enuma Elish, reveal a vision of the gods, including the Anunnaki, as divine beings who imposed order on chaos. They weren't just gods of the past, they were active figures in the creation of the world, establishing the laws that govern both humanity and nature. In this narrative, the Anunnaki were intimately involved in the creation of human beings, just as they were in Sumerian legend, but with an added layer of reverence. The Babylonians saw the Anunnaki as guardians who ensured the survival of order and balance in the universe. This is where the idea of the Anunnaki as divine rulers began to take hold, not just as mythological figures, but as fundamental pillars of Babylonian society. As the centuries passed, the Akkadian Empire rose to power, spreading across much of Mesopotamia. The Akkadians, inheritors of Sumerian culture and Babylonian influences, continued the worship of the Anunnaki, but adapted them to fit their own evolving worldview. In Akkadian society, the gods were more closely tied to the kingship itself. The Akkadian ruler Sargon the Great, who built an empire stretching from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean, claimed direct lineage from the gods, particularly from the Anunnaki. He presented himself as the chosen one of the gods, anointed by these divine beings to rule over all the lands under his control. His successors followed suit, invoking the Anunnaki as both their divine ancestors and their protectors, solidifying the Anunnaki's place as the highest authority in Akkadian religion. But as the Akkadians embraced the Anunnaki, the myth of these gods shifted in subtle but significant ways. The Anunnaki were no longer just distant figures who shaped the universe in the beginning. Now, they were actively engaged in human affairs, their will shaping the fate of kings and civilizations. The Akkadians, like the Babylonians, were deeply influenced by the idea that the Anunnaki granted their kings divine right, ensuring the survival and prosperity of their empires as long as they upheld the cosmic laws. The gods' involvement with humanity had transformed from a distant, almost passive influence to an active governing force. This transformation of the Anunnaki across these empires raises a haunting question: was the reverence for these gods more than just the deification of rulers? What if the Anunnaki were not mere metaphors for power, but had once been real beings, perhaps extraterrestrial beings, whose knowledge had been passed down through the generations, shaping civilizations in ways we are only beginning to understand? The mythological transformations that the Anunnaki underwent in these empires could suggest something much deeper than mere religious belief. Could the gods, as they were revered in Sumer, Babylon and Akkad, be representative of a hidden truth that had been passed down over millennia, a secret knowledge from a distant past that has been obscured over time? The Assyrians, who came to dominate much of the ancient Near East, continued the worship of the Anunnaki, but their conception of these gods was even more complex. Known for their military prowess and fierce expansionist policies, the Assyrians integrated the Anunnaki into their vision of power. The gods, in Assyrian tradition, were viewed as protectors of the kingdom, guardians of the king, and enforcers of divine law. Yet, there was an added layer of mystery to the way the Assyrians treated the Anunnaki. They viewed the gods as both destroyers and creators, forces that could bring ruin just as easily as they could bestow blessings. This duality made the Anunnaki not only revered figures but also figures of fear. For the Assyrians, the Anunnaki's role was not simply as creators or guides, but as potent forces that could, if angered, bring down civilizations. As the Anunnaki's story spread across these cultures, it's clear that their influence was not simply a matter of religious worship. Their impact transcended the bounds of religion, becoming a cornerstone of power, governance, and law. The gods were no longer just symbols of myth. They had become integral to the way these empires defined themselves, their rulers, and their places in the world. Yet, the further we look, the more we see how the Anunnaki's influence wasn't just about divine rule or cosmic order. It was about an ancient knowledge that was carried across time and space, hidden in plain sight. The influence of the Anunnaki didn't stop with the fall of Sumer or Babylon, or even the collapse of Assyria. Instead, it continued to ripple through the centuries, morphing into new ideas, new myths, and new beliefs. The echoes of their power, whether in the form of divine kingship or cosmic law, can still be heard today in the countless religions and philosophies that followed. But the deeper question remains: what secrets did the Anunnaki pass on before their influence was buried under the sands of time? Could they have left behind hidden knowledge, clues about their true nature, their origins, and their involvement in the creation of humanity, that still waits to be uncovered? The story of the Anunnaki in Babylon, Assyria, and Akkad is a story of transformation, not just of myth, but of power, culture, and humanity itself. And as we move forward, we will delve deeper into the conspiracy theories that suggest the Anunnaki were not gods at all, but extraterrestrial visitors who altered the course of human history. Could the Anunnaki have been part of something far greater, something that has been deliberately hidden from us? This question will guide us into the next chapter of our journey, where the story of the Anunnaki will take an even darker and more mysterious turn. For centuries, the Anunnaki were regarded as divine beings, figures of myth whose influence stretched across the earliest human civilizations. But what if the truth is far more complex, more alien? Imagine, if you will, that these so-called gods weren't gods at all, but extraterrestrial visitors, beings from another world who arrived on Earth long before recorded history. What if the mythologies we've inherited are not allegories, but accounts of real encounters, carefully woven into the fabric of human culture to mask an uncomfortable reality? This idea, once dismissed as mere fantasy, has gained significant traction in recent decades, and it has sparked intense debate and speculation. One of the most prominent voices behind this theory is Chekaria Sitchin, a scholar whose controversial interpretations of ancient Sumerian texts have led him to suggest that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrials from a planet called Thuvinibiru. According to Sitchin, these beings came to Earth thousands of years ago, drawn not by a desire for spiritual conquest, but by a need for gold. The ancient texts, Sitchin claims, describe how the Anunnaki mined Earth for this precious resource, using human beings as a labor force. This is not the story we've been told. The Anunnaki weren't divine deities bestowing civilization upon mankind. They were visitors with their own agenda. At the heart of Sitchin's theory is the idea that the Anunnaki didn't just interact with early humans, they genetically modified them. Ancient Sumerian texts, he argues, reveal that the gods themselves were responsible for creating humanity, not through divine inspiration, but through thrifty genetic manipulation. The Anunnaki, according to Sitchin, altered the DNA of early hominids, effectively creating modern Homo sapiens to serve as their workers. The evidence, the Sumerian king list, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and other ancient texts that hint at a time when humans were seen as less than divine, created for a specific purpose. This, Sitchin claims, is why the Anunnaki are so central to Sumerian mythology. They weren't gods, but beings whose intervention changed the course of human evolution. But why would such a monumental truth be erased from history? Why would this extraordinary revelation be buried beneath layers of myth and legend? According to proponents of the Fidi ancient astronaut theory, the answer lies in the suppression of knowledge. Over the centuries, as the world shifted from the ancient Sumerian perspective to that of modern religious thought, the true origins of humanity were intentionally concealed. The story of the Anunnaki, once passed down through generations, was slowly transformed into myth, their true nature obscured by later religious authorities. In place of extraterrestrials, humanity was given gods, beings who were disconnected from the stars and firmly entrenched in the heavens, where they would remain out of reach of ordinary humans. There are several key passages in ancient texts that support this theory, though mainstream historians and archaeologists have often dismissed them as mere mythological symbols. Take the Pordi Enuma Elish Toyef, the Babylonian creation myth, which describes the gods descending from the heavens to bring order to the earth. The term heavens in ancient texts, Sitchin and his followers argue, could very well refer to outer space, suggesting that these beings arrived from another planet, their true purpose concealed beneath layers of divine rhetoric. The descriptions of their advanced technology, their ability to command the elements and shape the world, bear an eerie resemblance to the kinds of powers one might associate with an advanced extraterrestrial race, rather than with gods from ancient religion. Sitchin's ideas, however, are far from universally accepted. His theories have been met with skepticism from mainstream scholars, many of whom dismiss them as pseudoscience or misinterpretations of ancient texts. Critics argue that Sitchin's translations of Sumerian and Akkadian texts are not only incorrect, but also deliberately manipulative, bending the words of the ancient tablets to fit a preconceived narrative. The debate surrounding his work has become a battleground for those who believe in the ancient astronaut hypothesis and those who hold fast to more traditional interpretations of the ancient texts. The opposition argues that there is no concrete evidence to support the idea that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrials, pointing out the vast differences between Sitchin's readings and the established linguistic and historical understanding of these texts. Still, the appeal of the ancient astronaut theory lies in its ability to challenge the established order, to present an alternative history that resonates with the growing curiosity about extraterrestrial life. The idea that our ancestors were visited by beings from another world is a seductive notion, one that ties into humanity's long-standing desire to find meaning in the stars. It speaks to something primal within us, the need to understand our place in the cosmos, to imagine that our origins might not be as humble as they seem. For those willing to look beyond conventional history, the evidence, whether it be in the ancient texts, archaeological findings, or the stories passed down through generations, seems to offer a tantalizing glimpse into a reality where gods and extraterrestrials are one and the same. But is this theory merely an imaginative exercise, or is there something more to it? Could the Anunnaki have been real, not as gods, but as extraterrestrial beings who arrived on Earth and altered the course of human history? And if they were here, what knowledge did they leave behind? What clues have they left in ancient temples, in texts, in the very bones of our ancestors? Could it be that the story of the Anunnaki is not one of divine rule, but of extraterrestrial intervention? An intervention that has been deliberately obscured for reasons we may never fully understand. As we delve deeper into this theory, we begin to uncover more questions than answers. Could the Anunnaki's influence have been so vast that their story became woven into the fabric of multiple ancient civilizations? And if their true nature was hidden from us, what secrets did they pass on before disappearing from the historical record? The mystery deepens, and with it, the allure of the truth that has been buried for millennia. This leads us to a new chapter, where we will explore the possibility that the Anunnaki did not just influence ancient religions and societies, but may have also left behind traces of advanced technologies. Technologies that could rewrite everything we know about human history. What if the knowledge they shared was not just spiritual or cultural, but deeply scientific? What if their legacy lives on, encoded in the very structures and technologies that have survived through the ages? The quest for answers continues, as we move forward to explore the hidden legacy of the Anunnaki and their potential impact on the rise of advanced civilizations. The sands of time have buried many mysteries, but some artifacts refuse to stay hidden. They rise from the earth like silent witnesses to an age-long past, bearing secrets that challenge our understanding of history. In ancient Mesopotamia, as well as in far-flung corners of the world, certain objects have been uncovered, artifacts so perplexing that they stir the imagination and raise unsettling questions about the true capabilities of early civilizations. Among the most puzzling are the technologies that seem to defy what we thought was possible for ancient peoples. Could these advances, seemingly ahead of their time, have been the result of human ingenuity alone? Or could the Anunnaki have played a role in passing down knowledge from a distant, perhaps extraterrestrial, source? One of the most striking examples of advanced technology in ancient Mesopotamia is the Polder Fivan Baghdad battery, an artifact that has baffled researchers since its discovery in the 1930s. This curious object, dating back to the Parthian period, consists of a clay jar, a copper cylinder, and an iron rod. When assembled, it appears to function as a primitive battery, capable of generating an electric charge. While some dismiss it as a mere artifact of artistic or symbolic value, others suggest that it may have been an ancient power source. The question arises, how could the people of ancient Mesopotamia, whose technological advancements were still in their infancy, have known about electricity? Could the Anunnaki, with their advanced knowledge of science and technology, have imparted this understanding to the people of the time? If so, what other technologies might have been shared with early humans? Technologies that were far beyond the reach of our ancestors. Moving beyond the confines of Mesopotamia, we find ourselves drawn to the wonders of the fine Great Pyramids of Egypt, a feat of engineering that still leaves us in awe today. The precision with which these pyramids were constructed is mind-boggling. Each massive stone block, weighing several tons, is meticulously cut and placed with such accuracy that even modern machinery struggles to replicate it. Some theorists suggest that such precision could not have been achieved without the use of advanced technology. Theories abound that the Egyptians, under the guidance of the Anunnaki, possessed the knowledge to move and place these colossal stones using tools and methods far beyond what we traditionally attribute to them. Were the pyramids the product of a highly advanced human civilization, or were they the legacy of an even older, more technologically proficient race that imparted their knowledge to the Egyptians? Could the Anunnaki have provided the Egyptians with the necessary tools or techniques to construct such monumental structures? As we ponder these questions, it is not just the pyramids that evoke curiosity, but the entire structure of ancient Egyptian architecture. The great temples, obelisks, and monuments scattered across Egypt seem to point to an understanding of geometry and astronomy that was far ahead of their time. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars, particularly the Orion constellation, suggests a deep understanding of the cosmos. Could the Egyptians have received this knowledge from the Anunnaki, who, according to Sumerian texts, were not only gods but also master architects and astronomers? The idea that such knowledge was passed down from extraterrestrial beings who had visited Earth long before the dawn of recorded history is a compelling one. If the Anunnaki did indeed provide the ancient Egyptians with advanced knowledge of the stars and the Earth, it would explain much of their architectural prowess. Then there is the fine great ziggurat of Ori, an imposing structure in ancient Mesopotamia that still stands today, though in ruin. This massive, tiered pyramid, built around 2100 BCE, served as a temple dedicated to the moon god Nana. The ziggurat is an impressive feat of engineering, with its precise layout and the sheer scale of its construction. But it is the intricacy of its design that raises questions. The Anunnaki were believed to have had a deep understanding of architecture and urban planning, and it is possible that this knowledge was imparted to the Sumerians who built such monuments. The ziggurat, with its massive size and its alignment with the stars, might have been a manifestation of the Anunnaki's influence. The fact that these ancient structures were not just built to honor the gods, but were also constructed with such advanced knowledge, suggests that the Sumerians may have had access to knowledge and tools far beyond the scope of their time. In addition to these monumental discoveries, there are also small, enigmatic artifacts that continue to intrigue researchers. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek device found in a shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera, has been called the world's first analog computer, dated to around 100 BCE. This sophisticated device was capable of predicting astronomical positions and eclipses, a feat that was not replicated until the development of similar devices in the 14th century. How could the ancient Greeks have possessed such advanced technology? Could they have inherited this knowledge from a much older civilization that had been influenced by the Anunnaki? The rediscovery of these texts, tools, and structures is part of a larger movement to uncover the hidden history of humanity, one that suggests we may have been more connected to advanced knowledge and extraterrestrial influences than we have been taught. As more artifacts are found and more ancient texts are translated, the mystery deepens. What if these ancient objects and writings are not just symbolic or mythological, but orthogonal historical records, pieces of a puzzle that tell the story of humanity's true origins? These discoveries continue to stir excitement, not only within the academic world, but among civic enthusiasts and researchers who are dedicated to uncovering the lost knowledge of the Anunnaki. The tantalizing clues that are being unearthed suggest that the story of human civilization is far more complex and mysterious than we have been led to believe. Each new finding, from the rediscovery of ancient Sumerian tablets to the unearthing of advanced tools and architectural marvels, adds another layer to our understanding of the Anunnaki and their profound influence on early human history. But these artifacts raise more than just historical questions. They challenge the very nature of civic human progress and our understanding of what is possible. Could these ancient artifacts finally reveal the truth about the Anunnaki's influence on humanity? What secrets do they still hold, and how much more is waiting to be uncovered beneath the earth? As the mysteries of the past come to light, we are left to wonder what other ancient technologies, or hidden truths about our origins might be waiting for us to discover. This journey of rediscovery is far from over, and as we continue to piece together the fragments of the ancient world, we move closer to the truth. In the next section, we will delve into the ongoing influence of the Anunnaki in modern times, exploring how these ancient mysteries may still shape our world today. The story of the Anunnaki, it seems, is far from finished. It may only be just beginning. Throughout history, the veil of time has concealed more than just the passing of civilizations. It has hidden entire chapters of human history, chapters that could change everything we thought we knew about our origins. The story of the Anunnaki, and perhaps the true origin of humanity itself, is one such chapter. But what if much of the knowledge about the Anunnaki, once available to the civilizations that revered them, was not lost by natural decay, but was simply deliberately erased? What if history itself has been manipulated, not just by the passage of time, but by forces who intentionally obscured the truth? The most glaring example of such intentional erasure can be found in the destruction of the Side Library of Alexandria, the largest and most renowned library of the ancient world. Built in the 3rd century BCE, this repository of knowledge contained countless scrolls and texts from cultures around the world, some of which may have been critical to understanding the true history of the Anunnaki. It is said that the library housed works from ancient Sumer, Egypt, Greece, and many other civilizations, with scholars from all over the world contributing their knowledge. Yet, despite its vast collection, the library was destroyed by fire multiple times, some say. While the final destruction of the library is often attributed to the Roman conquest of Alexandria, many believe the deliberate burning of such a treasure trove of knowledge was no accident. The contents of those scrolls, containing wisdom that could have altered the course of human history, were lost to the flames. The question remains, Findi, was this destruction a tragic accident, or was it part of a greater agenda to suppress ancient truths? Beyond the Library of Alexandria. There were numerous instances throughout history where critical records, scrolls, and texts were lost, destroyed, or deliberately hidden. The fire burning of the Sumerian records, for example, may have been a deliberate act to erase the legacy of the Anunnaki. Early Sumerian texts, which told of the gods' creation of humanity, were among the first to be erased or altered during the rise of later empires. The Assyrians, the Babylonians, and even later cultures rewrote or intentionally obscured these accounts, replacing the more controversial interpretations with more acceptable narratives, often gods or divine kings that were easier for future generations to accept. This effort to distort or hide the truth wasn't just about controlling religion or history, it was about controlling Finn knowledge, the most powerful tool any civilization can possess. The idea of Finny forbidden knowledge is not just confined to the distant past. Throughout the rise of Christianity and Islam, as both religions began to solidify their power, there was a deliberate suppression of texts that conflicted with their doctrines. Gnostic texts, ancient writings that presented alternative views of history, spirituality, and the divine, were buried, hidden, or destroyed. The most famous example of this is the Findi Nag Hammadi Library, a collection of ancient manuscripts discovered in 1945 that contain Gnostic texts, many of which offer radically different accounts of early Christianity and its origins. These texts suggest that humanity's origins were far more complex and mysterious than we've ever been told. Could the Anunnaki have been part of this hidden history, mentioned in texts that were later suppressed by religious authorities? Could these forbidden texts have contained evidence of the Anunnaki's extraterrestrial origin erased to protect religious dogma and control? In fact, many texts from the ancient world have been omitted from religious and historical canons because they threatened the established narrative. For example, the Findi Book of Enoch, a text that is mentioned in the Bible but excluded from the canon, tells the story of celestial beings called the 50 Watchers Sea, who descended to Earth and taught humanity forbidden knowledge. This text has often been linked to the Anunnaki, as the descriptions of these beings, who came from the heavens and interacted with humans, mirror the stories of the Anunnaki in Sumerian texts. Why, then, was it excluded from the Bible? Why were these accounts of divine beings intervening in human affairs removed from religious history? Was it to prevent the public from learning the truth about ancient extraterrestrial visitors? Even more mysterious are the gaps in recorded history itself. Consider the vastness of ancient empires like the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Babylonians. These civilizations had a profound influence on the development of humanity, yet their ancient records are filled with inconsistencies and outright gaps. There are entire periods of time with little to no historical documentation, and when records do exist, they often tell contradictory stories. The Sumerian king list Et, for instance, contains names of kings who are said to have ruled for thousands of years, an impossibility by modern standards. These rulers were supposedly granted their immense lifespans by the Anunnaki, suggesting that their lives and their knowledge were extraordinary. Yet, as time passed, many of these ancient records were either lost or altered, possibly by those who wished to erase the memory of a time when humanity's origins were tied to otherworldly beings. It's possible that the ancient civilizations that revered the Anunnaki, once at the height of their power, eventually realized the dangers of revealing their true nature. Those who were in possession of forbidden knowledge may have deliberately hidden it to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands, or to keep it from disrupting the existing power structures. What if the suppression of this knowledge wasn't just about controlling religious or political power, but about severe controlling human consciousness, keeping humanity from discovering its true origins, its true relationship with the stars? This notion of a lost history is not limited to ancient Mesopotamia or the early civilizations of Egypt. It spans cultures and continents, suggesting that the true story of human origins and the Anunnaki's involvement has been deliberately buried by those who came after. Why would such a concerted effort be made to obscure this knowledge? The answer, some suggest, lies in the power that this knowledge would hold. If humanity were to discover that its origins were tied to extraterrestrial beings, the implications would be staggering. It would force us to rethink everything, from the nature of our existence to the boundaries of our universe. In the centuries following the rise of modern science, there have been continued efforts to suppress or disregard any evidence of ancient extraterrestrial involvement. The idea of the Anunnaki as gods or as visitors from another world was ridiculed and dismissed, further entrenching the idea that humanity's history is purely earthly and human-driven. But this notion has only begun to crack in recent decades, as new generations of researchers, archaeologists, and theorists begin to question the official narrative. Could the true history of the Anunnaki, and the ancient wisdom they imparted, be buried beneath the layers of religious, political, and historical distortion? And if so, what are we meant to find when we finally uncover it? The lost history of the Anunnaki, it seems, is not simply a story of ancient gods. It is a story of power, secrecy, and a truth that has been hidden for millennia. As we move forward, we will delve into the modern rediscovery of these lost truths, exploring the ongoing efforts to uncover the true legacy of the Anunnaki, and the possibility that the secrets they left behind might just change everything we thought we knew about our past. The journey into the past is just beginning. For centuries, the secrets of ancient Sumerian civilization lay buried beneath the earth, waiting to be rediscovered. The stories of the Anunnaki, once etched in cuneiform on clay tablets, had been obscured by the sands of time. Yet, with each new archaeological find, it becomes clearer that the lost knowledge of these ancient beings is not entirely gone. It is slowly being brought to light once again. In the modern era, the rediscovery of Tivan Sumerian tablets has sparked a wave of excitement and curiosity. These ancient records, once thought to be relics of a distant past, are now revealing their secrets, giving us a glimpse into a time when gods walked among humans and shaped the course of history. The discovery of the Sumerian king list is one of the most significant breakthroughs in the study of the Anunnaki and early human history. Found in the ruins of Thinipur in southern Iraq, this tablet lists the kings who reigned in Sumer, with dates that span thousands of years, some kings reportedly living for 15,000 thousands of years. The sheer duration of these reigns challenges our understanding of history and raises troubling questions. How could humans have lived for so long? Were the kings of Sumer truly human, or did they possess some divine quality, perhaps granted by the Anunnaki? The list suggests an era when rulers were seen as twangod, like figures Saidi, imbued with power and wisdom far beyond that of ordinary men. The rediscovery of such records has given rise to new theories about the role the Anunnaki played in shaping the early civilizations of Mesopotamia. But it is not just the Sumerian king listi that has captured the attention of modern researchers. As the ruins of ancient cities are uncovered, archaeologists are finding more and more tablets inscribed with ancient texts that were long thought lost to history. These texts, written in cuneiform, the earliest known system of writing, provide an unprecedented window into the ancient world. The translation of these tablets, many of which had been buried for millennia, has opened the door to a deeper understanding of the Anunnaki and their influence on human civilization. Through the careful work of scholars and linguists, these texts are revealing new insights into the role the Anunnaki may have played in the development of early human culture, technology, and governance. Among the most tantalizing discoveries is the Hoin epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known works of literature. This ancient poem, which tells the story of the heroic king Gilgamesh, is filled with references to gods, divine interventions, and supernatural events. But, as scholars translate and reinterpret the text, more and more evidence emerges suggesting that the Fudi Anunnaki may not have been gods in the traditional sense, but extraterrestrial beings who interacted with humans in profound ways. Some translations of the epic hint at the possibility that Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, was not merely part divine, as previously thought, but was simply directly connected to the Anunnaki, perhaps even genetically altered by them. The rediscovery of the Hoin epic of Gilgamesh has opened up new lines of inquiry, suggesting that the story may not be purely mythological, but could contain elements of Thaidi historical truth, hidden for centuries beneath layers of allegory and symbolism. As these ancient texts are translated, modern researchers are revisiting the idea that the Anunnaki were more than just mythological figures. Could they have been extraterrestrial visitors, as some theories suggest, whose involvement with early human societies was obscured by later generations? The rediscovery of these texts raises the possibility that the Sudi Anunnaki's influence, Sid, on humanity was far more direct and significant than we ever imagined. As archaeologists and historians revisit these ancient records, they are beginning to question whether the myths we have inherited were, in fact, hefty historical accounts of actual events involving advanced beings from another world. The excitement surrounding these discoveries is palpable, but it also comes with a sense of mystery. Why, after so many years, are these ancient tablets being rediscovered now? The idea that the knowledge contained within these texts might have been hidden from us for so long only adds to the intrigue. Could it be that certain factions throughout history deliberately obscured this knowledge to keep humanity in the dark about its true origins? Perhaps the Anunnaki, whose influence on ancient civilizations is becoming more apparent, left behind clues that have only now begun to surface, as if to say that the truth about our past is waiting to be revealed, but only when humanity is ready to hear it. In addition to the rediscovery of the Sumerian tablets, there have been other important archaeological finds that could further illuminate the role of the Anunnaki. Excavations in places like Findi Babylon and Findineveh have uncovered ancient libraries filled with tablets and inscriptions that tell stories of gods, kings, and extraordinary events. These discoveries continue to reshape our understanding of ancient history, as each new find reveals more about the mysterious influence of the Anunnaki. One of the most striking aspects of these discoveries is the consistency of the themes found across different civilizations. The idea of sim-gods descending from the heavens, imparting knowledge to humanity, and shaping the course of history is a thread that runs through not just Sumerian texts, but those of the Babylonians, Assyrians, and even Egyptians. Could these texts be referring to the same beings, the Anunnaki, whose stories have been passed down through generations, though often obscured by myth? The significance of these rediscovered tablets cannot be overstated. With each translation, we inch closer to understanding the true nature of the Anunnaki and their role in the development of human civilization. Could these ancient records hold the key to unlocking the forgotten secrets of the Anunnaki? What knowledge do they still contain that could change everything we thought we knew about our origins? As the fragments of history begin to fall into place, we are left to wonder how much of the story has been deliberately concealed, how much we have yet to uncover, and what the rediscovery of these ancient texts means for our understanding of the past. The excitement around these discoveries is not just academic, it is personal. These texts, once lost to time, are slowly coming back to life, offering us a glimpse into a world far older and far stranger than we could have ever imagined. They challenge us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about our ancestors, about the gods they worshipped, and about the possible extraterrestrial origins of their knowledge. The rediscovery of these ancient tablets is not just about reading the past. It's about uncovering the hidden fun truths that could change the way we view the world and our place in it. As we move forward, the next chapter will take us deeper into the significance of these findings and explore how they might reshape our understanding of human history. What impact will these discoveries have on our concept of civilization, and the mysterious role that the Anunnaki may have played in shaping it? The journey into the past is far from over, and with each new revelation, we are one step closer to uncovering the truth. For millennia, humanity has sought to understand its origins, where we came from, how we came to be, and what forces shaped our evolution. The traditional narrative suggests that human beings evolved naturally, emerging from the primal soup of life through a slow process of natural selection. But what if this story is not the whole truth? What if, deep in our genetic code, there lies evidence of an intervention, a moment when our ancestors were thing-guided, perhaps even fine-created by beings from beyond this world? The theory that the Suvi Anunnaki played a direct role in human genetic engineering offers a startling possibility, one that suggests humanity's origins may not be as natural as we have been led to believe. The idea that extraterrestrial beings may have influenced human evolution is not as far-fetched as it might first seem. In fact, this theory draws on ancient myths and modern interpretations of historical texts, most notably the work of Tivchikaria Sitchin, who proposed that the Anunnaki were responsible for manipulating the DNA of early humans. According to Sitchin's interpretation of the Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki, an advanced extraterrestrial race, arrived on Earth around 450,000 years ago. They came from a distant planet, Finiberu, and were in search of gold, a resource they needed to repair their damaged atmosphere. But as they mined the planet, they encountered a problem. The labor force they required was too primitive to do the work. In response, the Anunnaki did what we might consider the unthinkable. They genetically altered the early hominids on Earth. By combining their own DNA with that of the existing primitive species, they created a new being, Homo sapiens. This hybrid species, designed to serve as a labor force, would go on to become the modern human race. According to this theory, our human ancestors were not simply the result of natural evolution, but rather the product of cybergenetic manipulation by beings with a knowledge of biotechnology far beyond our own. This theory is supported by certain passages found in ancient texts. In the Fiva Enuma Elishe, the Babylonian creation myth, the gods are described as crafting humans from clay, a process that, in the context of modern genetic understanding, could be interpreted as a reference to genetic engineering. Similarly, the Fuvi Sumerian king list tells of rulers whose reigns lasted for thousands of years, an anomaly that some theorists suggest could be the result of the Anunnaki's interference in human genetics, perhaps granting these kings extended lifespans or special attributes through their advanced technology. Perhaps the most compelling evidence for this theory lies in the Biblical account of the Fuva Nephilim. In the book of Genesis, the sons of God are said to have taken human wives, resulting in the birth of giants, beings of great power. While traditional interpretations suggest these were merely divine beings, the idea that these sons of God were actually the Anunnaki is gaining traction among alternative historians and researchers. The connection between the Nephilim and the Anunnaki is tantalizing, suggesting that the early humans were not left to evolve on their own, but were deliberately shaped by an advanced race. If the Nephilim were the offspring of the Anunnaki, it could explain why they were so different from other humans, why they were, in essence, a hybrid species created through extraterrestrial intervention. The possibility that the Anunnaki altered human genetics raises profound questions about our origins. If they were responsible for creating humanity, what does that say about our nature? Are we simply the product of their design, born to serve their needs? Or were we meant to be something more, capable of evolving beyond the limitations they imposed upon us? And if the Anunnaki did indeed create humanity, what knowledge did they pass on? And how has that knowledge influenced our development over the millennia? While there is no direct physical evidence of genetic manipulation by the Anunnaki, certain find archaeological anomalies lend credence to the theory that early human evolution might not have been entirely natural. For example, the sudden appearance of advanced technology and architecture in ancient civilizations like Sumer, Egypt, and Mesopotamia raises questions. How could these cultures, with their primitive tools and limited scientific knowledge, have suddenly produced monumental structures like the Fizengrit pyramids or the ziggurats of Urartu? The sophistication of these civilizations, along with their profound understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering, suggests that they may have been influenced by beings with far superior knowledge that could have been passed down from the Anunnaki. Another point of intrigue is the rapid development of early human societies. From the moment humans transitioned from hunter-gatherers to settled agricultural communities, civilization advanced at an astonishing pace. The development of writing, laws, cities, and monumental structures occurred in a span of just a few thousand years, a time frame that, in the context of natural evolution, seems almost too brief. Was this sudden leap in human development the result of evolutionary processes, or could it have been accelerated by the intervention of the Anunnaki, who provided humanity with the tools and knowledge to advance more quickly than we could have on our own? Critics of the genetic engineering theory argue that there is no physical evidence to support the idea that the Anunnaki interfered with human evolution. Mainstream scientists maintain that human beings evolved through natural processes, with gradual changes occurring over millions of years. Yet, even within the scientific community, there are gaps in our understanding of human evolution, gaps that the theory of extraterrestrial intervention seeks to fill. For instance, the sudden appearance of anatomically modern humans with advanced cognitive abilities appears to be an anomaly in the fossil record. Could this rapid development be explained by the Anunnaki's intervention, as some suggest, or is it simply a result of an evolutionary process? we don't fully understand. Despite the skepticism surrounding these theories, they continue to captivate the imagination of many. The idea that we were not the product of mere chance but of deliberate design challenges the very foundations of what we think we know about ourselves. If the Anunnaki played a role in shaping humanity's genetic makeup, what does that mean for our place in the universe? Are we merely a created species, born from the knowledge and technology of beings from another world? Or are we something more capable of transcending the limitations they set for us? As we explore the possibility of tidy genetic engineering by the Anunnaki, we are forced to confront a larger question. What role do extraterrestrial beings play in the development of life on Earth? Could it be that humanity's true origins lie not in the depths of our evolutionary past, but in the stars, created by beings who watched over us and guided our development? The answers to these questions remain elusive, but one thing is clear: the true story of humanity's origins may be far more complex than we've ever imagined. From here, we transition into exploring the Anunnaki's impact on early human societies, how they shaped the cultures, technologies, and belief systems that laid the foundation for modern civilization. The influence of the Anunnaki, it seems, extends far beyond the realm of genetics. As we dive deeper into their legacy, we begin to uncover how their wisdom, whether spiritual, technological, or even scientific, may have helped to shape the course of human history. In the ancient heart of Mesopotamia, a land where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowed like veins of life through the earth, a civilization emerged that would forever alter the course of human history. The Sumerians, the first known civilization, created a world of cities, temples, and towering ziggurats, imposing structures that still command awe today. But as scholars delve deeper into the origins of these accomplishments, a fascinating question arises. Could these great achievements have been the result of human ingenuity alone, or were they shaped by the guidance of a higher power, perhaps even extraterrestrial beings like the Anunnaki? The Sumerians did not simply invent agriculture or form rudimentary governments. They laid the foundation for all subsequent civilizations. The way they did so raises questions that go beyond the realm of conventional history. The Anunnaki, as the Sumerian myths describe, were not distant gods simply worshipped from afar. They were active participants in the shaping of human society. According to these ancient accounts, the Anunnaki didn't just give humans divine commands, they taught them. They imparted knowledge of agriculture, architecture, astronomy, and governance, shaping the very framework of civilization. The idea that these gods were also mentors, guiding humanity through the darkness of its early days, opens up a new possibility. What if the Sumerians weren't the originators of these advances, but rather the beneficiaries of knowledge bestowed upon them by these ancient beings? The development of Subi agriculture in Sumer is one of the most significant leaps in human history. Before the rise of agriculture, humans were primarily hunter-gatherers living in small, scattered groups. But once agriculture was introduced, humanity began to settle in one place, forming villages and cities. The rise of the first cities, like Fuduk and Fudagasha, was directly tied to the growth of agricultural practices that allowed for the surplus production of food. But where did this knowledge come from? How did the Sumerians go from living as nomadic tribes to creating some of the most advanced agricultural systems in the ancient world? According to Sumerian myth, the Anunnaki taught humanity how to cultivate the land, offering the knowledge of how to grow crops in a controlled manner, ensuring not just survival, but prosperity. The story of Tuvi Enki, one of the most prominent Anunnaki gods, who was associated with wisdom, water, and creation, is particularly revealing. In one myth, Enki provides the gift of Tuvi irrigation, an essential tool for farming in the dry Mesopotamian landscape. Through the use of irrigation systems, the Sumerians were able to transform arid land into fertile fields, enabling their society to flourish. The Sumerians believed that this gift, this ability to manipulate nature, was given to them by the Anunnaki, allowing them to create thriving cities and kingdoms where once there was only barren desert. Alongside their contributions to agriculture, the Anunnaki were credited with introducing Fundi architecture and the Thuvi art of building. The ziggurats of Mesopotamia, massive stepped pyramids that reach toward the heavens, stand as a testament to the advanced knowledge the Sumerians possessed. These structures were not merely religious monuments, but also served as symbols of the connection between the heavens and the earth. The precision with which these towering edifices were built, aligning with celestial bodies and incorporating advanced mathematical principles, raises a profound question. How could a society with no modern tools or technologies have achieved such feats? Could the Anunnaki have shared their advanced architectural knowledge with the Sumerians, teaching them how to build not just for religious purposes, but to reflect the cosmos itself? In Sumerian mythology, the gods are often depicted as patrons of knowledge. Enki, in particular, was the god of wisdom, a teacher to both humans and gods. It was he who was said to have given humanity the knowledge of Thivi writing, an invention that would forever change the course of human history. The Sumerians created Phi cuneiform, the first known system of writing, which allowed them to record everything from laws and stories to agricultural practices and trade agreements. How could the Sumerians, with their limited technological resources, have developed a writing system so sophisticated that it could serve as the foundation for all future written languages? Could it be that the Anunnaki, with their superior knowledge, played a part in the creation of cuneiform, providing the Sumerians with the necessary tools to record their world and their knowledge? Perhaps even more profound than the contributions to agriculture and architecture was the system of governance that the Anunnaki supposedly introduced to humanity. In the early days of Sumer, there were no central governments or laws. Society was governed by the rule of the strongest or the most influential. But with the arrival of the Anunnaki, a more structured system emerged. Kingship became sacred, and the Sumerian kings were believed to be chosen by the gods, with divine authority to rule. This idea of divine kingship, where rulers were seen as intermediaries between the gods and the people, set the stage for the Huatic, theocratic systems that would dominate ancient civilizations. The Anunnaki were not just creators of the physical world, they were also architects of civil social order, introducing a system where rulers had the divine right to govern, and the people had a divine responsibility to obey. The influence of the Anunnaki on early human civilizations cannot be overstated. They were more than just gods. They were mentors, shaping the development of human society at every level. From agriculture to architecture, from governance to writing, the gifts that the Anunnaki supposedly gave to the Sumerians laid the foundation for the great civilizations that followed. But the question remains, Subai were the Anunnaki simply gods, or were they something else? What if they were, in fact, extraterrestrial visitors who imparted their knowledge to the early humans they encountered, helping them rise to levels of sophistication that would have been impossible otherwise? Could humanity, in its earliest stages, have been guided by beings from another world, their knowledge and technologies unlocking the potential of our species? As we explore this possibility, we must also confront the question of why the Anunnaki's true nature and influence have been hidden from history. Why, as the civilizations they helped create grew, did their influence fade into myth? Could it be that their story was erased deliberately, or was it simply lost in the ebb and flow of time? In the next section, we will examine the mysterious collapse of these early civilizations that thrived under the guidance of the Anunnaki. Could their sudden disappearance have been the result of the Anunnaki's departure from Earth? What role did their influence play in the rise and fall of these great societies? As we move forward, we will investigate how the disappearance of the Anunnaki might have led to the loss of the knowledge and technologies they shared with humanity. The story of the Anunnaki is a tale that seems to transcend the boundaries of time. For centuries, these powerful beings shaped the course of human history, guiding ancient civilizations through periods of prosperity and advancement. Yet, as quickly as they appeared, the Anunnaki vanished from the historical record. Their sudden disappearance has fueled countless theories and speculations. What happened to them? Did they simply leave Earth, as some ancient texts suggest, or were they driven away by forces beyond our comprehension? And more importantly, what happened to the knowledge they bestowed upon humanity when they disappeared? The most well-known explanation for the Anunnaki's departure comes from Sumerian mythology, which tells of the gods' eventual return to their home planet, Nibiru. According to the ancient Sumerians, the Anunnaki came to Earth from this distant world, drawn by a need to mine gold and other precious resources. But as time passed, their mission was fulfilled, and they eventually departed, leaving humanity to carry on the legacy they had left behind. The return to Nibiru, as described in Sumerian texts, was not just a physical departure, but a physical wundi, a return to a higher realm. from where the gods would continue to watch over humanity, but no longer directly intervene in the affairs of men. This narrative hints at the idea that the Anunnaki were not native to Earth at all, but came from somewhere far beyond our solar system, their time on Earth merely a chapter in their long cosmic journey. However, the idea that the Anunnaki simply left of their own accord, returning to the distant reaches of space, is just one theory among many. Other explanations suggest that the Anunnaki's departure was not voluntary. Some theorists argue that a 2D catastrophic event, such as a war between the Anunnaki themselves or an internal conflict with early human societies, could have led to their sudden disappearance. The ancient texts speak of strife among the gods, of disagreements over how humanity should be governed, and of tensions between different factions of the Anunnaki. What if these conflicts led to the Anunnaki's decision to abandon their earthly endeavors, leaving humanity to fend for itself? There are also theories that suggest the Anunnaki were driven away by human forces. As the Sumerians and other early civilizations grew in power and sophistication, it is possible that they began to resist the Anunnaki's influence. Were the Anunnaki seen as too controlling, too invasive? Could it be that early human leaders, those who had been raised with the wisdom and knowledge of the gods, sought to break free from their influence, ultimately causing the Anunnaki to retreat? If the Anunnaki were indeed extraterrestrial beings, it is not hard to imagine that, over time, human societies would have developed the strength and resolve to challenge their creators. Perhaps the departure of the Anunnaki was not an abandonment at all, but a forced retreat driven by human resistance. This idea of human resistance ties into the mysterious nature of the Anunnaki's role in early civilizations. If they were not simply gods but beings of far greater technological and intellectual capacity, their decision to leave might not have been as straightforward as simply returning to Nibiru. The ancient Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki's role in shaping their society, and it's clear that the gods were deeply involved in everything from agriculture and governance to the creation of human beings themselves. So why would they suddenly step away from this intimate connection with humanity? Were they acting on their own accord? Or was there something more at play, a force, a decision, or a series of events that led to their sudden disappearance? The disappearance of the Anunnaki is also closely linked to the civic collapse of ancient civilizations, particularly the fall of Sumer. The Sumerians were one of the most advanced civilizations of their time, building cities, establishing laws, and creating the first written language. Yet, as their civilization thrived, there was also a sense of instability, as if the very foundation of their society was fragile, dependent on the continued guidance of the Anunnaki. When the Anunnaki vanished from the scene, did it leave a void that humanity struggled to fill? Were the Sumerians unable to maintain their advanced way of life without the divine support of the Anunnaki? This transition, from thriving civilizations to a period of decline, mirrors the mythological accounts of the Anunnaki's departure, an abrupt change in direction, a loss of wisdom and guidance that may have left the human race vulnerable. It's important to note that the disappearance of the Anunnaki does not seem to be confined to one specific time or place. Similar stories of gods or powerful beings leaving their human creations can be found in cultures around the world, from the Theban Egyptians, Siddha, to the Fivani Mayan Sivan, suggesting a universal theme of divine intervention followed by departure. In Egypt, for instance, the Phi-Godsi are said to have once walked among humans, but eventually retreated to the heavens, leaving humanity with the knowledge they had provided. The similarities between these stories and the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki's departure are striking, suggesting that the Anunnaki's influence on early civilizations may have been global in scope, and that their departure marked a significant turning point in human history. What happened to the Anunnaki after their disappearance remains a mystery, but it is clear that their absence had a profound impact on the civilizations they left behind. As the Sumerians, Babylonians, and other ancient cultures continued to grow and evolve, they did so without the direct guidance of the Anunnaki. The knowledge, technologies, and systems that the gods had imparted began to erode over time, lost to war, destruction, and the inevitable passage of centuries. The Phi-lost knowledge of the Anunnaki, once integral to human society, was gradually forgotten or distorted. The myths and legends that remained were all that was left of these ancient beings, their true nature hidden beneath layers of mythological interpretation and historical obfuscation. The question, however, remains, what happened to the Anunnaki? Did they leave Earth voluntarily, as part of their cosmic mission, or were they forced to retreat by humanity's growing independence? And if they truly departed, what did they leave behind for humanity? What knowledge, what technologies, and what wisdom still lingers in the ruins of ancient civilizations, waiting to be rediscovered? This mystery sets the stage for the next chapter in our journey, one where we will explore the 7 collapsivi of ancient civilizations like Sumer, and how the disappearance of the Anunnaki might have triggered a chain reaction, leading to the loss of the advanced knowledge they had once provided. The fall of these great societies may hold the key to understanding the true impact of the Anunnaki's absence and the consequences of their departure from Earth. In the Fertile Crescent, where the first great cities of human civilization once flourished, something began to unravel. The Sumerians, who had built a society based on the gifts of the Anunnaki, agriculture, writing, governance, found themselves at the mercy of forces they couldn't control. The world they had created, a world of monumental cities like Uruk, Lagash, and Nippur, began to crumble. The temples, once filled with the knowledge and wisdom of the Anunnaki, fell silent. The ziggurats, towering structures that symbolized the bond between humans and their gods, slowly decayed, their once immense presence fading into the mists of time. What caused this collapse? Traditional historical accounts point to a combination of warfare, environmental change, and internal strife as the primary reasons behind the fall of Sumer. But these explanations feel incomplete. The Sumerians were not just an agricultural society, they were pioneers, possessing a deep understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. They created a writing system, cuneiform, that laid the foundation for future civilizations, and their legal codes influenced those that followed. Such advancements were not the result of chance or simple progression. They were the result of civil advanced knowledge that had been gifted to them by the Anunnaki. And when the Anunnaki disappeared, it's possible that the knowledge they had bestowed upon humanity was lost along with them. Could the collapse of Sumer and other ancient civilizations have been linked to the sudden absence of the Anunnaki? If these gods were the ones who had provided the guidance necessary for such achievements, who had taught the Sumerians the ways of agriculture, governance, and engineering, then their departure would have left a massive void. With no one to sustain the knowledge, the Sumerians would have been left to rebuild from the ashes of their once great society. The sudden loss of such crucial wisdom could explain why the great cities of Mesopotamia, once the epitome of civilization, fell into ruin. The collapse of Sumer was not a singular event. It was part of a broader pattern that affected many of the early empires in the Near East. Tefanti, once a mighty empire under Sargon the Great, also crumbled. Babylon, another of the great Mesopotamian cities, saw its own rise and fall. Each of these civilizations inherited the legacy of Sumer, yet each, in its turn, fell victim to forces that seemed to be beyond their control. As these civilizations fell, they took with them knowledge that would be lost for centuries. The legacy of the Anunnaki, once the cornerstone of human achievement, became a distant memory, wrapped in the veil of myth and legend. But the collapse wasn't just about the loss of knowledge, it was about the loss of significance. The Anunnaki were not merely teachers, they were mentors who had shaped the very framework of these civilizations. Without them, the Sumerians and their successors were left to figure out how to continue without their celestial patrons. The rise of Tuvi Babylonian and Phi-Assyrian cultures did carry forward some elements of Sumerian knowledge, but this knowledge was fragmented and often misunderstood. The Ziggurat-Suvi, once the towering symbols of Anunnaki power, were now used for more conventional religious purposes. The advanced technologies, once given freely to the Sumerians, became lost arts. The loss of knowledge in Sumer and other ancient civilizations is not just an academic problem, it is a mystery that reaches into the very foundations of human history. How did the Sumerians, in such a short period, go from living in primitive tribal societies to creating one of the most advanced civilizations the world had ever seen? And how did they, so abruptly, lose everything they had built? Could it be that the Anunnaki's guidance had been the key to their success, and without it, their civilization couldn't sustain itself? The loss of this knowledge also meant the loss of the technological innovations, that the Anunnaki had provided. The Sumerians were skilled in areas such as astronomy, mathematics, and thematics, and fine engineering, fields that still baffle historians to this day. The alignment of their ziggurats with celestial bodies, their advanced irrigation systems, and their ability to construct monumental buildings with precision, all of these achievements point to an advanced understanding of the natural world. But once the Anunnaki were gone, this knowledge was no longer passed down in its full capacity. The fall of Sumer marks a time when humanity began to lose its connection to the advanced knowledge that had been gifted to it, and it would take millennia for that connection to be restored. The Egyptians, who followed the Sumerians, inherited some of the knowledge that had once been passed down by the Anunnaki. The Great Pyramids of Giza, for instance, reflect an advanced understanding of mathematics and astronomy that seems far ahead of what should have been possible for the time. How could the Egyptians have achieved such precision and sophistication without external help? Many theorists suggest that the Egyptians, like the Sumerians, were influenced by the Anunnaki, who passed their knowledge down through generations. But even the Egyptians, with their vast accomplishments, seem to have only captured fragments of the lost knowledge. Over time, the knowledge of the Anunnaki became distorted, mythologized, and ultimately buried beneath centuries of religious and cultural evolution. In the aftermath of the fall of Sumer, there was no longer a clear transmission of knowledge or wisdom. As the years turned into centuries, what had once been advanced technology became Swilosti, reduced to fragments of myth, legends of gods who had descended from the heavens and given humanity the gifts of civilization. And as the civilizations that followed Sumer tried to rebuild, they did so without the full understanding of the knowledge they had inherited. The Thuvalaidanki civilizations remained a mystery, hidden beneath layers of history and time. The fall of Sumer and the collapse of other ancient civilizations marks a pivotal moment in human history. It is a moment that raises uncomfortable questions about the nature of progress and the fragility of knowledge. Could the civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and beyond have reached their heights without the guidance of the Anunnaki? And more importantly, why did these civilizations fall when they did? Was it merely the result of human mistakes or natural cycles, or was there something more, a loss of knowledge so profound that it brought everything crashing down? As we look at the collapse of these societies, we are forced to confront the idea that perhaps the rise of human civilization, at least in its earliest forms, was not purely the result of human ingenuity. Perhaps the Anunnaki were not just creators, but also mentor sea beings who provided humanity with the tools it needed to advance. And when they disappeared, humanity was left to pick up the pieces of a broken legacy. The collapse of these ancient civilizations leads us to the next chapter in our exploration: the rediscovery of the lost knowledge and technologies of the Anunnaki. Could it be that the true origins of our civilization have been buried for centuries, waiting to be uncovered? As we begin to explore the modern rediscovery of these ancient truths, we may find that the lost knowledge of the Anunnaki is not truly lost, but merely waiting to be uncovered once again. The sands of time have concealed more than just the remnants of ancient civilizations. They have hidden entire libraries of knowledge, waiting for the right hands to unearth them. For centuries, the story of the Anunnaki, one of the most fascinating and mysterious of ancient narratives, remained a myth, distorted by time and the erosion of historical records. Yet, with each new archaeological discovery, we inch closer to uncovering the truth about the Anunnaki's role in the creation of human civilization. In recent decades, modern archaeologists, researchers, and enthusiasts have begun to rediscover ancient texts, artifacts, and structures that hint at the lost knowledge of the Anunnaki, giving us new insights into our distant past. One of the most significant breakthroughs in this quest for understanding has been the rediscovery of Sumerian tablets. These ancient relics, etched in cuneiform, offer glimpses into a time when the Anunnaki were believed to have directly interacted with humanity. The Sumerian king Listidi, one of the earliest and most famous of these texts, chronicles the reigns of kings who supposedly lived for thousands of years, far longer than any human lifespan should allow. The sheer length of these reigns raises profound questions. Were these kings truly human, or were they somehow altered by the Anunnaki, perhaps endowed with extended lifespans or divine attributes? The translation of these texts has revived interest in the ancient tales of gods who walked among humans and provided them with the wisdom to build the first great civilizations. Among the most captivating finds are the Fidi Epic of Gilgamesh and the Fidi Enuma Elishti, two ancient texts that speak of gods, creation, and cosmic events that shaped the world. In the Fidi epic of Gilgamesh D, Gilgamesh himself is depicted as a semi-divine figure, part human and part god. His story, which includes encounters with gods, supernatural creatures, and the search for immortality, raises intriguing questions about the Anunnaki's role in shaping the lives of early rulers. The tablets recount how these gods bestowed knowledge upon the Sumerians, teaching them not only the arts of agriculture and architecture, but also the deeper mysteries of life and the cosmos. In a sense, the rediscovery of these texts is like peering through a keyhole into the distant past, where the Anunnaki's influence is still faintly visible. But it is not just the literary texts that have captured the attention of modern researchers. Artifacts unearthed from ancient sites are adding another layer of intrigue to the story of the Anunnaki. Take, for example, the discovery of the Sivdi Baghdad battery, an artifact found in modern-day Iraq that dates back to the Parthian period, around 250 BCE. The device, a simple clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod, is believed by some to be an ancient battery. Though it may not have been the kind of advanced technology we envision today, the existence of a rudimentary electrical device in the ancient world raises fascinating possibilities. Could the Anunnaki have imparted their knowledge of electricity or other forms of energy to early humans? And could this battery be a trace of that lost technology? As archaeologists continue to unearth artifacts across Mesopotamia and beyond, they are also discovering Fidi advanced architectural structures that challenge our understanding of ancient engineering. The ziggurats of Sumer, towering structures built to honor the gods, are an example of this advanced knowledge. These step pyramids, which align with celestial bodies, display a precision in their construction that seems almost impossible for the time. How could the Sumerians have built such precise structures without the aid of advanced tools or technologies? Some theorists suggest that these buildings were not just religious monuments, but were constructed with knowledge that was passed down from the Anunnaki, who were believed to have had a deep understanding of geometry, astronomy, and engineering. The mystery surrounding these structures only deepens when we consider the Fidi create pyramids of Egypt and other ancient monuments that share similar features. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars, particularly with the constellation of Orion, hints at an advanced understanding of astronomy, knowledge that could have been inherited from the same source that guided the Sumerians. Could this be a continuation of the Anunnaki's influence, as they passed on their wisdom to later civilizations, like the Egyptians? The precision and scale of these monuments, which have stood for millennia, suggest that the knowledge required to build them was far beyond what we traditionally attribute to the ancient Egyptians. Some speculate that the Egyptians, like the Sumerians, may have received assistance from the Anunnaki, whose influence stretched far across the ancient world. In addition to these monumental discoveries, there are also small, enigmatic artifacts that continue to intrigue researchers. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek device found in a shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera, has been called the world's first analog computer, dated to around 100 BCE. This sophisticated device was capable of predicting astronomical positions and eclipses, a feat that was not replicated until the development of similar devices in the 14th century. How could the ancient Greeks have possessed such advanced technology? Could they have inherited this knowledge from a much older civilization that had been influenced by the Anunnaki? The rediscovery of these texts, tools, and structures is part of a larger movement to uncover the hidden history of humanity, one that suggests we may have been more connected to advanced knowledge and extraterrestrial influences than we have been taught. As more artifacts are found and more ancient texts are translated, the mystery deepens. What if these ancient objects and writings are not just symbolic or mythological, but orthogy historical records, pieces of a puzzle that tell the story of humanity's true origins? These discoveries continue to stir excitement, not only within the academic world, but among civi enthusiasts and researchers who are dedicated to uncovering the lost knowledge of the Anunnaki. The tantalizing clues that are being unearthed suggest that the story of human civilization is far more complex and mysterious than we have been led to believe. Each new finding, from the rediscovery of ancient Sumerian tablets to the unearthing of advanced tools and architectural marvels, adds another layer to our understanding of the Anunnaki and their profound influence on early human history. But these artifacts raise more than just historical questions. They challenge the very nature of civil human progress and our understanding of what is possible. Could these ancient artifacts finally reveal the truth about the Anunnaki's influence on humanity? What secrets do they still hold, and how much more is waiting to be uncovered beneath the earth? As the mysteries of the past come to light, we are left to wonder what other Tuviansi ancient technologies, or hidden truths about our origins might be waiting for us to discover. This journey of rediscovery is far from over, and as we continue to piece together the fragments of the ancient world, we move closer to the truth. In the next section, we will delve into the ongoing influence of the Anunnaki in modern times, exploring how these ancient mysteries may still shape our world today. The story of the Anunnaki, it seems, is far from finished. It may only be just beginning. The Anunnaki, once confined to the realms of ancient myth and long-lost texts, have surged into the spotlight in the modern world, becoming central figures in a variety of conspiracy theories. From the shadows of secret societies to the annals of civil extraterrestrial speculation, the Anunnaki have found their place as key players in the ongoing mystery of humanity's origins and the hidden forces that may still shape our world today. These ancient gods, often described as extraterrestrial beings, have been resurrected not just as subjects of historical interest, but as agents of an ongoing fudding cosmic agenda that continues to influence events on Earth. The resurgence of interest in the Anunnaki can be traced back to the work of Sid Caria Sitchin, whose groundbreaking and controversial theories about the Anunnaki's role in human history ignited a firestorm of speculation. According to Sitchin, the Anunnaki were extraterrestrial beings who came to Earth from a distant planet called Thydimiviru. They are said to have played a critical role in the creation of humanity, genetically manipulating early hominids to create a species capable of serving their labor needs. Sitchin's interpretation of ancient Sumerian texts, particularly the Fuvanai epic of Gilgamesh and the Sumerian king Listida, led him to argue that the Anunnaki not only influenced the rise of the first great civilizations, but may still be shaping the course of human history today. Sitchin's theories have sparked widespread interest, but they have also raised many questions. Critics argue that his interpretations of the ancient texts are often misread or misrepresented. However, despite the controversy, the idea of the Anunnaki has taken root in the imaginations of many, particularly in the world of timid modern conspiracy theories. The idea that an ancient extraterrestrial race shaped humanity's evolution, provided advanced technologies, and may still be guiding the fate of the world is a powerful narrative, one that fits perfectly into the modern fascination with hidden knowledge and shadowy elites. The mystery of the pyramids has long been a central element in the Anunnaki conspiracy narrative. How could ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians, have constructed the pyramids with such precision using only primitive tools? The sheer scale and accuracy of these monuments seem to defy the technological limitations of the time. This is where the Anunnaki come in. Many theorists suggest that the Anunnaki's advanced technology, perhaps even the knowledge of 3D anti-gravity devices, or other forms of advanced engineering, could explain how the Egyptians were able to build such massive structures. The idea that extraterrestrial beings may have provided this technology to ancient humans fits neatly into the conspiracy framework, offering an answer to the mystery of how such feats were achieved with seemingly rudimentary means. Beyond the pyramids, the influence of the Anunnaki is also seen in the appearance of advanced technologies, CIVD, throughout history. From the ancient batteries of Tuvi Babylon to the Fivi Antikythera mechanism, a complex analog computer from ancient Greece, these artifacts have puzzled researchers for years. How could ancient civilizations have produced such advanced technologies without the aid of extraterrestrial knowledge? Could the Anunnaki have shared their scientific understanding with early humans, passing down secrets that were lost or forgotten after their departure? This line of thinking has led to widespread speculation that many of the greatest achievements of humanity were not of purely terrestrial origin. In addition to their involvement in the construction of monumental structures and advanced technologies, the Anunnaki have also been tied to the Fodi alleged secret agenda said of global elites. A common thread in modern conspiracy theories is the idea that the Anunnaki, or those who claim to be their descendants, still influence world events from behind the scenes. Some believe that the ancient gods may have established powerful bloodlines or secret societies, such as the Illuminati, to continue their control over humanity. This theory suggests that the Anunnaki's influence persists through elite families and shadowy organizations that wield power over global politics, finance, and culture. The connection between the Anunnaki and secret societies is a particularly intriguing one. According to certain conspiracy theorists, the ancient knowledge bestowed upon early civilizations was not freely shared with everyone. Instead, it was hidden away, passed down only to the select few who were chosen to guard it. These secret societies, such as the Freemasons and other esoteric groups, are often thought to be the modern-day inheritors of this ancient knowledge. Some go as far as to claim that these societies continue to carry out the Anunnaki's agenda, manipulating global events and controlling the course of history to ensure that humanity remains under their influence. This idea of a hidden agenda, of an ancient race manipulating human affairs from the shadows, has captivated the imagination of countless individuals. It taps into the age-old desire to uncover forbidden knowledge, the belief that powerful hidden truths exist, waiting to be revealed. It also plays into the modern paranoia surrounding secret elites, and the belief that global events are orchestrated by a few powerful figures for their own gain. The Anunnaki, in this narrative, are not just a part of ancient history, they are a living force, continuing to shape the destiny of humanity in ways we cannot fully comprehend. The Anunnaki have also become central figures in modern pop culture, where they continue to influence how we view the ancient past. From sci-documentaries to best-selling books, the story of the Anunnaki has found its place in the zeitgeist. Documentaries like Ancients Aliens have introduced the idea that extraterrestrial beings, including the Anunnaki, played a significant role in shaping human civilization. The show, which has sparked widespread debate, presents evidence of ancient myths and monuments as proof that advanced beings once visited Earth and interacted with early human societies. This portrayal of the Anunnaki as ancient astronauts fits neatly into the broader narrative of pseudo-ancient extraterrestrial contact that has captured the imagination of millions. The Anunnaki also appear in fictional works, often as powerful, godlike beings who possess knowledge and technology far beyond that of humanity. In novels, movies, and television series, the Anunnaki are depicted as an ancient race whose influence continues to resonate through the ages. These portrayals, while fictional, serve to perpetuate the idea that the Anunnaki may not be relegated to the past, but could be guiding humanity in ways we have yet to fully understand. The rise of online forums and social media has only amplified the global fascination with the Anunnaki. Platforms like Reddit, YRTube, and Twitter are filled with communities of people who share theories about the Anunnaki, discussing everything from their supposed influence on global politics to their role in ancient history. These online spaces have become modern-day video repositories, seed of conspiracy theories, where ideas about the Anunnaki continue to evolve and spread. The internet, with its vast reach and ability to connect like-minded individuals, has transformed the Anunnaki from a historical curiosity into a living part of the contemporary conspiracy culture. Could the Anunnaki still be influencing us today, hidden in plain sight? Are we unknowingly following in the footsteps of an ancient extraterrestrial agenda? These questions continue to intrigue and inspire those who seek to uncover the secrets of our past and to understand the hidden forces that may still be at work in the world today. As we explore the possibility of their ongoing influence, we begin to unravel the threads of a narrative that connects ancient myths with modern mysteries, suggesting that the story of the Anunnaki is far from over. With the Anunnaki's influence on modern theories now established, we move forward to the next chapter, where we will delve deeper into the broader implications of their legacy and how their story connects to global myths and secret knowledge that spans time and culture. The answers may be hidden in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered. The Anunnaki, with their origins deeply rooted in ancient Sumer, have long been regarded as the gods who shaped human civilization. Yet, their influence stretches far beyond the boundaries of Mesopotamia. As we dig deeper into the mythologies of other ancient cultures, striking parallels begin to emerge. Stories of gods who descended from the heavens, imparted knowledge to humanity, and guided the development of early civilizations. Could it be that the Anunnaki were not unique to Sumer, but were part of a broader global network of deities whose myths were shared across the ancient world? The similarities between the Anunnaki and the gods of Egypt, Greece, and other cultures suggest that their influence may have been more widespread and profound than we ever imagined. One of the most obvious parallels can be found in Fis and Egypt, where the gods of the Nile, particularly those associated with creation and civilization, bear striking similarities to the Anunnaki. Osiris, the Egyptian god of the afterlife and regeneration, shares many traits with the Anunnaki's role as creators and rulers. Like the Anunnaki, Osiris was revered as a divine teacher who imparted knowledge to humanity, especially in the fields of agriculture and civilization. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris was believed to have been a benevolent ruler who taught the Egyptians how to cultivate the land, much like the Sumerian myths of the Anunnaki, providing agricultural wisdom to early Mesopotamians. Moreover, the Sun-Ra, the sun god and central figure in Egyptian cosmology, is depicted as descending from the heavens to guide humanity. The idea of gods coming from the sky to impart wisdom is a common thread that links the Anunnaki with the Egyptian pantheon. This celestial descent is echoed in the Egyptian myth of the Thirty-Efendaya festival, celebrating the divine renewal of the pharaoh, marking a rebirth that mirrors the Anunnaki's supposed influence over human evolution. Could it be that the Egyptians, influenced by the same celestial beings, adapted their own understanding of gods from the Anunnaki, integrating their own beliefs and culture into this shared cosmic narrative? The idea of gods descending from the sky also finds its counterpart in Fivi Greek mythology, where the Fighty Titans, powerful, godlike beings, reigned before the Olympian gods took over. The Titans were often depicted as gigantic and divine beings who came from the heavens, just as the Anunnaki were said to have descended from the stars. The Greek myth of twin Prometheusoi, who defied the gods to bring fire to humanity, echoes the Anunnaki mythos in a profound way. Prometheus's role as a bringer of knowledge and enlightenment to humankind mirrors the Anunnaki's supposed gifts to early humans. Both figures challenge divine authority to bestow wisdom upon mankind, a theme that appears time and again in various mythologies. The parallels between the Anunnaki and the Five Titans go beyond mere shared symbolism. In Greek mythology, the Titans were not only gods of primordial power, but were also creators and teachers. They were credited with giving humanity important knowledge, such as agriculture and the arts, much like the Anunnaki, who were said to have taught the Sumerians how to farm, build cities, and develop writing. In both traditions, there is an underlying suggestion that the gods were not simply divine rulers, but active participants in the formation of human society. These parallels suggest that the Greek gods, particularly the Titans, may have been inspired by the Anunnaki mythos, passed down from Mesopotamia through trade, migration, or even shared cultural exchange. The similarities extend further when we explore the Fi gods of other ancient cultures said around the world. In High Mesoamerica, the Fivi Mayan godsid are often described in ways that echo the Anunnaki mythos. The Fivi Mayan creation myth Thi speaks of gods descending from the heavens to shape the world and to teach humanity the arts of civilization. The feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl is one such figure who brought wisdom to the Maya, much like the Anunnaki. Quetzalcoatl, a deity of creation, knowledge, and fertility, shares many traits with the Sumerian gods, particularly their role as teachers and benefactors of humanity. The story of Quetzalcoatl's descent to Earth and his role in the rise of civilization parallels the Anunnaki's supposed arrival and their guidance over early human societies. In Fidizi Dawes America, the Fovi Inca godseed also bear similarities to the Anunnaki. Vivaracocha, the supreme god of the Incas, is said to have created the world and taught the people how to live. Viracocha, like the Anunnaki, was revered as a bringer of civilization, bringing with him the knowledge of agriculture, architecture, and governance. His depictions often show him descending from the heavens, suggesting a celestial origin similar to the Anunnaki's descent from the stars. Could it be that these similarities between the gods of different ancient civilizations are more than just coincidence? While each culture certainly adapted the myths to fit their own worldview, the shared theme of gods descending from the heavens and imparting knowledge to humanity is too consistent to be dismissed as a mere cultural parallel. One possible explanation is that the myth of the Anunnaki was not confined to Sumer, but spread to other parts of the world, either through direct contact with Sumerian civilization or through a shared, ancient source. If the Anunnaki were, indeed, extraterrestrial beings, as some theorists suggest, then the similarities in these myths might reflect a shared truth, a truth that spanned continents and civilizations. Moreover, the Anunnaki's influence might not have been confined to the past. As these stories were passed down through generations, they were altered and integrated into the mythologies of different cultures. But the core message remained the same: sign gods from the heavens descended to guide and shape humanity. This shared theme suggests that the Anunnaki, or beings like them, were not just figures of ancient myth, but were deeply embedded in the collective consciousness of early human societies. Over time, these myths became more symbolic, but the possibility remains that they reflect real historical events that were interpreted as divine intervention by ancient peoples who could not comprehend the true nature of the beings who visited them. The influence of the Anunnaki on other ancient cultures challenges our understanding of history and mythology. If the myths surrounding the Anunnaki were truly based on historical events, then they may be more than just stories. They may be fragments of a shared reality that connects ancient civilizations across time and space. The idea that the Anunnaki were the source of myths across the ancient world is an intriguing one, and it opens the door to a deeper understanding of humanity's past. Could these stories have been passed down through time, linking cultures in ways we never imagined? This exploration of the Anunnaki's global influence leads us to the next chapter of our journey, a look at how these ancient myths continue to resonate today. From the secrets hidden in ancient texts to the conspiracy theories that have emerged in modern times, the legacy of the Anunnaki is not just a story of the past. It is a legacy that continues to shape our world today. The next section will explore how the Anunnaki's influence is still felt in modern culture, from the popular media to the hidden agendas of global elites. The ancient gods known as the Anunnaki have long captured the human imagination, weaving their way through the myths and legends of ancient Sumer. Yet, despite their disappearance from historical records thousands of years ago, the Anunnaki's presence in our cultural consciousness has never fully faded. In fact, their influence has experienced a resurgence in modern times, finding a place in pop culture, Findy TV documentaries Sef and Feidi book Sef, as well as inspiring numerous conspiracy theories Sef. The Anunnaki, once dismissed as mere figures of myth, have transformed into symbols of hidden knowledge, extraterrestrial influence, and cosmic secrets. But why does the story of these ancient beings continue to captivate us? Could the truth behind the Anunnaki still be hidden in plain sight within our favorite movies and books? One of the most notable ways the Anunnaki have been woven into modern culture is through documentaries and television shows like the Ancient Aliens. The popular show has sparked an entire movement of thought that blends the ancient astronaut theory with historical exploration, suggesting that extraterrestrial beings, including the Anunnaki, played a pivotal role in the development of ancient civilizations. Through interviews with historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists, Ancient Aliens posits that the knowledge and technology exhibited by ancient cultures like the Sumerians, Egyptians, and Mayans couldn't have been achieved without extraterrestrial assistance. The show often directly ties the Findy Anunnaki to these civilizations, presenting them as advanced beings who imparted their knowledge to early humans. By exploring ancient structures like the Great Pyramids, the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, and the Nazca Sif, Ancient Aliens raises questions about how ancient humans could have built such sophisticated monuments without the help of higher intelligence. Could the Anunnaki, with their advanced technology, have been responsible for imparting the engineering and astronomical knowledge needed to construct these remarkable sites? The show's speculation has sparked significant public interest in the possibility that extraterrestrial visitors shaped humanity's progress, and the idea that the Anunnaki were such visitors has captured the imagination of millions of viewers. Books, too, have played a key role in bringing the Anunnaki mythos into the mainstream. Zecharia Sitchin, one of the most prominent proponents of the ancient astronaut theory, published a series of books starting with 12th Planet It in 1976, in which he argued that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrial beings from the planet Thiniberusef who came to Earth in antiquity. Sitchin, S books, while controversial and criticized by mainstream scholars, have inspired an entire genre of literature and research dedicated to uncovering hidden extraterrestrial influences on Earth's ancient civilizations. His works have contributed significantly to the rise of twinty conspiracy theories surrounding the Anunnaki, with many readers drawn to the idea that ancient myths may be encoded with truth. These ideas have spread beyond academia and into the world of fiction. The Anunnaki have made appearances in various science fiction, novels, Tiffany movies, and television shows, often portrayed as either ancient gods or extraterrestrial beings with vast powers and advanced knowledge. One of the most iconic examples is Pinned Sifter Gate, both the movie and the long-running television series, which feature an alien race known as the deities, an ancient and powerful species that uses advanced technology to manipulate human civilization. The storyline parallels the idea of the Anunnaki, with the Finnegold seen as extraterrestrial beings who once ruled over humanity, much like the Anunnaki were said to have done in the Sumerian accounts. In another notable example, see Prometheus C 2012, the prequel to the Pseudo-Alien series, explores themes of human creation and extraterrestrial influence. The film's plot centers around a team of scientists searching for the origins of humanity, eventually discovering that the creators, referred to as the Findy Engineers, are beings who not only created humans but also shaped their development, raising questions about the role of extraterrestrial beings in the rise of civilization. Though not a direct retelling of the Anunnaki story, Fin Prometheus Sifty plays on the same idea that advanced extraterrestrials may have played a role in shaping human evolution, much like the Anunnaki are believed to have done. In addition to these more mainstream representations, the Anunnaki have become a fixture in the conspiracy theory ecosystem. As social media platforms like FindRed, FindYouTube, and Twitter give voice to countless subcultures, the Anunnaki have become central figures in a vast network of theories about signed global elite secret societies and the control of hidden knowledge. These theories often suggest that the Anunnaki's influence didn't end with ancient civilizations, but continues to affect the modern world. Some conspiracy theorists claim that the Thodi elite families who control global finance and politics are the descendants of the Anunnaki, or that they are secretly in communication with these ancient beings, keeping their knowledge and agenda hidden from the general public. The idea that the Anunnaki might still have a role in global events taps into deep-seated paranoia about secret societies and the manipulation of information. The belief that powerful elites are concealing the truth about our origins and shaping world events in accordance with hidden knowledge is a theme that resonates with many in today's society, particularly in an age of disinformation and fake news. As a result, the Anunnaki have become symbolic of a much larger conspiracy theory about power, control, and the hidden forces that shape our reality. Perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of the Anunnaki influence on modern culture is the 50 intersection between ancient myth and modern speculation. The Anunnaki's story continues to captivate because it touches on deeply human desires, the search for our origins, the yearning for hidden knowledge, and the fascination with extraterrestrial life. This narrative doesn't just offer a glimpse into a distant past, but suggests that the mysteries of our ancient ancestors are still unfolding. Could it be that the Anunnaki's true story is hidden in plain sight, woven into the fabric of modern pop culture and conspiracy theories? Could these ancient gods, who once shaped the course of human civilization, still be influencing us today through the media we consume, the books we read, and the myths we hold dear? The Anunnaki's persistent presence in modern culture is more than just a curious relic of the past. It is a symbol of our ongoing fascination with the unknown, with the idea that the truth about our origins is far more complex than we have been told. As we move forward into the next section, we will explore how these findy ancient myths and fine modern theories connect, shedding light on the enduring relevance of the Anunnaki in today's world and the secrets they may still hold. This brings us to Chapter 10, where we will reflect on the future of the Anunnaki research, examining how modern technology, discoveries, and global curiosity might eventually unlock the true story of the Anunnaki and their profound impact on human history. The search for the Anunnaki, those mysterious deities who were believed to have shaped the course of human civilization, has not ended with the closing of ancient texts or the fall of long forgotten cities. In fact, the quest to uncover the truth about the Anunnaki is very much alive today. Archaeologists, historians, and even enthusiasts are continuing to dig into the past in search of evidence that could confirm or challenge the theories surrounding the Anunnaki. The fascination with these ancient beings, their influence on human history, and the unanswered questions about their true nature have fueled a resurgence in 4D Anunnaki research, with new discoveries and advanced technologies potentially leading to breakthroughs in our understanding of humanity's origins. The quest to uncover evidence of the Anunnaki is inherently tied to the exploration of ancient ruins, temples, and artifacts that might hold the key to understanding their role in the past. Over the years, there have been several significant archaeological digs in the heart of Mesopotamia, particularly in regions like Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, where many of the ancient Sumerian and Akkadian cities once stood. Sites such as Fida, Buruk, Babylon, and Nineveh continue to be explored, with excavations aimed at uncovering more tablets, relics, and structures that could provide insights into the time when the Anunnaki were believed to have interacted with early human civilizations. One of the most promising aspects of modern research is the advancement of survey excavation technologies. Ground penetrating radar, GPR, 3D scanning, and digital mapping technologies have made it easier than ever to locate and study buried sites without disturbing the delicate ruins. These tools allow archaeologists to identify potential excavation sites with greater precision and to analyze structures that may have been hidden beneath centuries of sand and rubble. While traditional excavation methods remain essential for uncovering physical evidence, these technological advancements offer a new lens through which to explore ancient civilizations and the possible influence of the Anunnaki. Despite the excitement surrounding these technological innovations, the search for evidence of the Anunnaki is far from straightforward. The quest to uncover the truth is fraught with challenges, many of which stem from the lack of funding for such ambitious projects. Archaeological digs, particularly in regions like the Middle East, are often costly endeavors, requiring substantial financial resources for excavation, preservation, and analysis. Without significant backing from governments, private donors, or research institutions, many promising digs remain underfunded or delayed. The lack of resources can also result in limited access to some of the most tantalizing sites, keeping researchers from uncovering evidence that could potentially rewrite history. Another challenge faced by those seeking to confirm the existence of the Anunnaki is the skepticism of mainstream science. The idea that extraterrestrial beings may have influenced early human civilizations is a controversial theory, and one that is often dismissed by scholars in traditional fields of archaeology and history. Mainstream archaeologists and historians typically focus on more conventional explanations for the development of early societies, agriculture, trade, and cultural evolution, rather than entertaining the possibility that extraterrestrial forces played a significant role. This skepticism, while rooted in academic rigor, can make it difficult for those investigating the Anunnaki to gain the traction needed to advance their research. Despite these obstacles, the search for Anunnaki evidence continues, driven by the belief that there are still hidden truths to be uncovered. The rediscovery of ancient texts, particularly those from the Sumerian, Babylonian, and Assyrian civilizations, has opened new doors to understanding the role of the Anunnaki. While many of these texts are well known, such as the Sumerian king Listide and the Suvi epic of Gilgamesh, there are still undiscovered tablets and inscriptions that could provide further clues about the Anunnaki's origins and their influence on early humanity. Researchers are continuing to comb through existing archives, searching for new translations or interpretations that might shed light on the Anunnaki's role in the ancient world. In addition to text-based research, the ongoing study of ancient Fadi artifacts plays a critical role in uncovering the mystery of the Anunnaki. Stone carvings, Steintai pottery, and Sendi tool objects found in Mesopotamian ruins could hold key evidence of their technological prowess. The discovery of the Find-Baghdad battery, a primitive electrochemical device, is a prime example of how seemingly small artifacts may point to the advanced knowledge of the Anunnaki. Researchers are also continuing to examine ancient tools that appear to have been designed for purposes that far exceed what was thought possible with the technology of the time. Could these objects be remnants of the Anunnaki's teachings passed down through generations? The Fingrate Pyramids of Giza, though not located in Mesopotamia, are another focal point of research. The precision and advanced engineering involved in their construction continue to raise questions about how ancient Egyptians, without modern tools, could have created such monumental structures. Some researchers argue that these advanced techniques could be the result of knowledge passed down by the Anunnaki or other extraterrestrial beings. Ongoing studies of the pyramids, their alignment with celestial bodies, and their relationship to ancient cosmology suggest that there may be more to the story than meets the eye. Could new discoveries in Egypt, particularly in unexplored chambers or hidden tombs, offer further evidence of the Anunnaki's influence? As researchers continue to investigate these ancient sites, there is also a growing interest in further interpreting ancient myths through the lens of modern science. The idea that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrial beings is still a speculative theory, but new tools in the fields of genetics, psi-thaudomy, astronomy, and phylarchaeology are allowing researchers to explore new angles. For example, the study of ancient DNA could provide insights into the origins of human evolution and whether external factors, such as extraterrestrial intervention, played a role in shaping early humanity. Similarly, advances in astrophysics could help scientists identify potential planets in our solar system that could have once harbored life, offering further context for theories like Sitchin's, which posit that the Anunnaki came from the distant planet Nibiru. As we conclude our journey into the mysteries of the Anunnaki, we are left with more questions than answers. Who were these ancient beings? Were they gods, extraterrestrials, or something else entirely? And perhaps more importantly, what does our ongoing fascination with them reveal about humanity's deepest desires and fears? The Anunnaki are not just figures of myth. They are symbols of the human quest for meaning, knowledge, and connection to the cosmos. Their legacy speaks to something fundamental within us, our need to understand where we came from, why we are here, and what forces have shaped our existence. The story of the Anunnaki is in many ways the story of human curiosity. Throughout history, we have sought answers to questions that seem just beyond our reach. Who are we? What is the origin of life? What is our place in the vast universe? The ancient Sumerians, Egyptians, and other early cultures turned to gods to explain the mysteries of creation and the forces that govern their world. Today, we continue to search for answers, albeit through different means: scientific discovery, philosophy, and even the speculative theories of the Anunnaki. But the core question remains the same. Where did we come from? The Anunnaki, with their stories of descent from the stars, have become one of the most powerful representations of this existential search. Our fascination with the Anunnaki taps into a deep psychological need, the desire for connection with something greater than ourselves. In many ways, the Anunnaki serve as archetypes of divine intervention, offering a narrative that suggests humanity's origins were not purely the result of random evolution, but were shaped by external forces, be they gods or extraterrestrial beings. This idea that we are not alone in the universe, that our existence might have been influenced by beings from the stars, provides a sense of meaning and context that is both comforting and humbling. It is a narrative that answers the deepest questions of human existence. Whom are we here? What is our purpose? The Anunnaki mythos also speaks to our desire for knowledge. The idea that ancient gods or extraterrestrials might have passed on advanced knowledge that could have revolutionized early human civilization, is both tantalizing and unsettling. Could the secrets of the universe be hidden in ancient texts, in lost technologies, or in the ruins of long-forgotten civilizations? The very notion that we are still on the cusp of uncovering these lost truths fuels our modern search for meaning, prompting us to question whether humanity has been in possession of knowledge far beyond its time, only to lose it due to time, war, or the fading of memory. But beyond the questions of origins and extraterrestrial influence, the Anunnaki also speak to the human condition, our need to understand our place in the greater cosmos. The Anunnaki were, after all, beings who came from the stars and interacted with humans in ways that transcended simple myth. Their story suggests that humanity is not alone in the universe, that we are part of a much larger cosmic narrative. In our search for the Anunnaki, we are not just looking for answers to our own history. We are reaching out into the stars, wondering if there is a connection between us and the broader universe. This desire for connection is timeless, driving both ancient and modern cultures to look beyond the immediate world around them and seek meaning in the unknown. The Anunnaki's influence in modern conspiracy theories and pop culture only underscores the psychological and cultural significance of these ancient figures. In books, documentaries, movies, and TV shows, the Anunnaki have become symbols of hidden knowledge, secret powers, and ancient wisdom that could change the course of human history. From the theories of Zecharia Sitchin to the popular show Fight Ancient Aliens Den, the Anunnaki have become a lens through which we explore humanity's greatest mysteries. Their mythos continues to captivate us because it speaks to a primal need to understand our origins, our purpose, and our place in a vast and mysterious universe. But as we reflect on the legacy of the Anunnaki, it's important to ask, are these ancient myths simply stories, or do they hold the key to something deeper? Perhaps the stories themselves are not as important as the questions they raise. The Anunnaki, in their role as creators, teachers, and cosmic beings, represent our own search for knowledge and understanding. Whether or not the Anunnaki were extraterrestrial beings, gods, or something else entirely, their mythos challenges us to look beyond the conventional boundaries of history and science, to ask questions that defy easy answers. For those of us fascinated by the Anunnaki, the search is not just about discovering the fine truth behind their existence. It is about exploring the fifth mysteries, of the human experience. The Anunnaki symbolize the unknown, the parts of history and knowledge that remain just beyond our grasp. As we continue to explore the world around us, both through the lens of archaeology and through the stories we tell, the Anunnaki remain a symbol of humanity's quest to uncover the secrets of our past, and by extension, our place in the cosmos. As we move forward, the search for truth will continue. Archaeologists will dig deeper, new technologies will emerge, and our understanding of ancient myths and their connection to modern-day theories will evolve. But the legacy of the Anunnaki will persist, as both a mystery and a reflection of our most profound human impulses. The idea that ancient beings influenced our past, whether as gods, extraterrestrials, or cosmic entities, will continue to stir the imagination and shape our understanding of the world. The search for the Anunnaki and the truth behind their mythos is a journey that is far from over. It is a quest that invites us to continue asking big questions and to remain open to the mysteries that lie just beyond our reach. The story of the Anunnaki is, in many ways, our own story. The story of a species that seeks meaning in the stars and answers to the greatest questions of all. Where do we come from? As we close this chapter on the Anunnaki, we leave you with the invitation to continue this journey, to keep searching for the truth, and to never stop questioning the mysteries of the universe. The answers may still be hidden, but they are out there, waiting to be discovered. Perhaps, just as the Anunnaki once promised humanity that the greatest truths lie just beyond the horizon, waiting for those who dare to seek them.